Amazing and occasionally unconventional innovations have been imagined and made by humans. From the instant someone smashed a rock against the ground to create the first tool with a sharp edge to the invention of the wheel, Mars rovers, and the internet, a few significant developments stand out as extremely revolutionary. Here are our top recommendations for the most significant innovations of all time, along with information on the science and development of each one. A wheel. The amount and distance of what humans could move over land was severely constrained until the creation of the wheel about 3500 BC. The most challenging aspect of creating the wheel was not the wheel itself. Things got complicated when it came time to attach a stationary platform to the rolling cylinder, claims David Anthony, an anthropology professor at Harvard College. The wheel and axle concept was the stroke of brilliance, but making it was also challenging. He cited the need for practically flawless roundness and smoothness in the holes in the center of the wheels and the ends of the fixed axles as an example. Another important consideration was the axle size and how tightly it fit in the hole, not too tight, but not too loose either. The effort was well worth it. Wheeled carts made it easier for people to travel long distances and allowed for the movement of commodities to and from markets, which promoted commerce and agriculture. Wheels are now an essential part of our way of life, appearing in everything from clocks to turbines to vehicles. T.H. Neal. This important creation stretches back more than 2,000 years to the time of the ancient Romans and was only made possible once people learned how to cast and shape metal. In the past, wood buildings had to be made by geometrically joining adjacent boards, which was a considerably more laborious procedure. According to the University of Vermont, until the 1790s and the beginning of the 1800s, hand-wrought nails were the norm. A blacksmith would heat a square iron rod and then hammer it on all four sides to form a point, opens and new tab. Between the late 1790s and the beginning of the 1800s, nail-making machines went online. The ability to mass-produce steel from iron, invented by Henry Bessemer, caused the use of iron nails to gradually decline. According to the University of Vermont, by 1886, 10% of nails in the United States were made from soft steel wire. Steel wire made up 90% of the nails made in the United States by 1913. While the screw, a more durable but more difficult to insert fastener, is typically attributed to the Greek scholar Archimedes in the 3rd century BC, David Blockley claims in his book that the Pythagorean philosopher Archytas of Tarentum was more likely the inventor. L.A. Compassa. It was risky to sail far from shore in the days before satellite navigation, as ancient mariners relied on the stars for guidance. Between the 2nd century BC and the 1st century AD, the Han Dynasty in China developed the first compass. It was made of lodestone, a naturally magnetic iron ore whose appealing qualities had been studied for years. However, between the 11th and 12th centuries, during the Song Dynasty, it was first utilized for navigation. Then, via maritime interaction, the technology reached the West. The rise of global trade was facilitated by the compass, which allowed seamen to navigate securely far from land. The compass, a device that is still frequently used today, has permanently altered our perception of the Earth. The press for printing. Between 1440 and 1450, German inventor Johannes Gutenberg created the printing press. The hand mold, a revolutionary molding method that made it possible to quickly produce lots of metal movable type, was essential to its growth. Gutenberg was the first to design a mechanized method that transported the ink, which he created from linseed oil and soot, from the movable type to the paper, even though others had done so before him, including inventors in China and Korea. For the first time in history, printing presses enabled the rapid and extensive distribution of knowledge by exponentially speeding up the production of book copies through the use of movable type. The late historian Elizabeth L. Eisenstein stated in her book The Printing Revolution in Early Modern Europe, Cambridge University Press, 2012, that printers' workplaces will be present in every large city town by 1500. Up to 20 million volumes are thought to have been produced in Western Europe by the year 1500, but Eisenstein places the number closer to 8 million. The printing press, among other things, made the Bible more widely available, which in turn gave rise to alternative interpretations, such as Martin Luther's 95 Theses, a document printed in thousands that started the Protestant Reformation. Internal combustion engine. When fuel is burned in these engines, a high-temperature gas is released. As the gas expands, it exerts pressure on a piston, which moves it. By converting chemical energy into mechanical work, combustion engines. The internal combustion engine took on its, basically, contemporary shape in the second part of the 19th century after decades of engineering by numerous scientists. The engine brought about the industrial age and made it possible to create a large variety of devices, such as contemporary automobiles and aircraft. The steps needed to operate a four-stroke internal combustion engine are shown. These are the strokes. 1. Air and vaporized gasoline are brought in during the intake stroke. 2. Fuel vapor and air are compressed and ignited during the compression stroke. The machine is powered by the third power stroke, in which the fuel burns and the piston is driven downward. 4. The exhaust stroke drives the exhaust out. Calling phone. Several innovators contributed to the development of electronic voice transmission. However, it was Scottish inventor Alexander Graham Bell who received the first patent for the telephone on March 7, 1876. Many of these innovators later sued for intellectual property when the use of telephones skyrocketed. His patent drawing is pictured above. In his book, The Telephone Patent Conspiracy of 1876, The Elisha Gray Alexander Bell Controversy and Its Many Players, author A. Edward Evanson claims that 3 days after making the first telephone call, Alexander Bell told his helper Thomas Watson, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." McFarland, 2015. Bell's family had an impact on the invention of the telephone. His mother, a talented musician, lost her hearing later in life, and his wife Mabel, whom he married in 1877, had been deaf since she was 5 years old, according to Evanson. His father also taught voice elocution and specialized in teaching the deaf to talk. The creation immediately gained popularity and transformed international trade and communications. Bell died on August 2, 1922, and all phone calls in the U.S. and Canada were suspended for 1 minute in his memory. The luminary. Our reliance on natural light was removed by the development of the light bulb, which allowed us to be productive day or night. Several inventors contributed to the creation of this groundbreaking technology throughout the 1800s, but Thomas Edison is recognized as the primary inventor because in 1879 he developed a fully operational lighting system that included a generator, wiring, and a carbon filament bulb similar to the one above. This innovation led to the widespread use of electricity in Western homes and also had the fairly unanticipated effect of altering sleep habits. We no longer stay up past the 7 to 8 hours allocated for sleep and, in a perfect world, we sleep all at once. In the past, when we had nothing better to do, we went to bed at nightfall and slept intermittently throughout the night. Penicillin. One of the most well-known historical discovery tales is this one. In his lab in 1928, the Scottish researcher Alexander Fleming discovered a petri dish full of bacteria with its lid inadvertently ajar. The sample had developed a mold contamination, and wherever the mold was present, bacteria had died. In the following 2 decades, chemists purified the antibiotic mold, which turned out to be the fungus Penicillium, and created the medicine penicillin. Penicillin treats a wide range of bacterial illnesses in people without endangering the patients. By 1944, penicillin was being produced in large quantities and promoted. In order to prevent venereal disease, this poster on a curbside mailbox instructed World War II personnel to take the medication. According to a 2003 study in the journal Clinical Reviews in Allergy and Immunology, about 1 in 10 persons experienced an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. Nevertheless, most of these patients go on to be able to tolerate the medication, researchers stated. World Wide Web. Billions of people throughout the world use the internet, a global network of linked computer networks. The first version of the internet, known as ARPANET, was created in the 1960s by a group of computer scientists working for the ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency, of the U.S. Defense Department. It made use of a data transfer technique called packet switching, created by team member and computer scientist Lawrence Roberts based on earlier work by other computer scientists. According to computer scientist Harry R. Lewis in his book Ideas That Created the Future, SatFace opens in new tab, Classic Papers of Computer Science, opens in new tab. This technology was advanced in the 1970s by scientists Robert Kahn and Vinton Cerf, who created the crucial communication protocols for the Internet, the Transmission Control Protocol, TCP, and the Internet Protocol, IP, MIT Press, 2021. Kahn and Cerf are frequently referred to as the inventors of the Internet because of this. That was for today. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel.